Today's video, we're gonna talk about a home services advertising trick that nets super high quality leads and super quick and quicker than anything else I promise you can come out with, okay? Now, granted, this is a video about Google Ads advertising, as well as Microsoft Ads advertising, of which you probably already know of, but there's a certain trick with it to get results super quick. That is, if you're only starting with a few $100 even, you can get results with that by going after and doing what I'm talking about in this video. Namely, and having to do with the timing of which you run your ads. Earlier on in the day, you get much better results, much higher quality leads, which a lot of people don't know, but only I know because I have managed 100 different local service campaigns before for other home service companies. And I went through all the data to calculate and figure out what is the perfect time of day to run your ads that get you the highest quality leads in the soonest amount of time. If you stay in the video, I will go through an actual case study in the bath remodeling space so you can see just how much of a difference it matters. Run your ads at this peak perfect time, of which there is certainly value in running ads outside of that perfect window of time. You know, you're gonna get results much quicker understanding what that is. So I'm gonna go through what this method is, what this time frame is, how you utilize it, and then with that, you have everything you need to be able to get leads super quick and to get the best ones in your market when it comes to targeting a specific window of time in your market. So with that said, okay, what I've got here on this actual whiteboard is the time frames in which, for at least a home services business, plumbing, AC/HVAC, foundation repair, that you're gonna get the highest quality leads and the soonest in the overall process running ads for your business. Now, of which I wanna say also, to get results as quickly as possible, you should be going after the near me terms because they always work the quickest. Why? Because people are normally searching that way when they are the most serious. Foundation repair, near me. Plumbing companies, near me. Not only that, if you want to add a bit of extra to that, set of plumbing companies near me, broken toilet repair near me. That's going to be your best spot where you're going to get the most money the soonest with your ads, okay? Of which, even within that, you want to target less than 5 terms. And ideally, if you want to get results the fastest of the fastest, 1 term by itself. Why? Because you're going to build up your quality scores with that term much, much quicker, dumping all your money into that 1 term that you have. And you need high quality scores to get the quality of traffic that's most profitable in your space. Because Google plays a game of divvying out the traffic to the advertiser that is helping them and their users more than the other advertisers. So when you start advertising, they got to test you out. At the beginning, before you're tested, you're given the poorest portion of that keyword's traffic if you're targeting multiple keywords. You only get the best portion of that keyword's traffic when you show to Google that you have better click-through rates, better conversion rates than your competition. So you can have the best ad, best landing page in the world, but until Google knows it, you're not going to get the high-quality traffic within the keywords that you're bidding on, given that they know somebody searching for plumbing services near me, which portion are buyers, which ones are not. They're going to give the portion of the traffic that's not to the people they don't care if they stay around, and or the new advertisers, which they assume are not as good as their existing favorite advertisers they have now. So adding that though to timing. Timing is key. When do you specifically want to target these people that are typing in these best of the best keywords, of which you have less keywords overall to get results the fastest? And that is going to be early on in the day, not the first thing as the day kicks off, but specifically 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. or noon every day. Which, if you think about this logically, it makes perfect sense. When is the time in which people, if you can generate calls for your business or form fills for that matter, but more so on calls, you would know that the lead would be the best quality? Well, obviously, if you think about consumer behavior, it makes sense that the people that you're going to get the most serious to call in your business, where the leads are the best of the best quality, it's going to be in the morning, because what happens is they talk to their husband about their foundation being broken that night before, after finding it after work, doing some gardening around the house. And then they say, okay, we need to hire somebody to deal with this, and we can't delay anymore. So first thing in the morning, I'm going to call the companies when they open up, so to say. So you got people that were thinking about hiring somebody all the night before. They're hot to trot first thing in the morning, so to say. They've been thinking about it and now they're ready to jump, which those leads are better, because when you get somebody that just spontaneously says, I want to fix my air conditioning unit, that lead's not as good as somebody who's been thinking about it for 12 hours and then actually followed through the call. Because that person, you know for a fact that they're super serious, or more serious than the guy that just spontaneously thought about it, right? So, like I said, we went through all the data. This is the peak time to run your ads. If you only have so much budget, this is when you want to run your ads. If you want to get results sooner, this is when you want to run your ads exclusively. With the problem being, of course, like with targeting just one keyword, you cannot make millions of dollars purely that way. Generally speaking, in some markets like plumbing, HVAC, you still technically could, but for most markets, you aren't going to make the millions yet, because you need more keywords than that. Not enough of the market searching for that one keyword, and not enough of the markets only searching 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., even though that would be your best perfect place to start, so to say. Of which, though, by the way, in a lot of markets, literally, and tell you this for a fact, 2/3 of your business is going to come through that small time window of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. But a lot of markets where I see that this is the case, bathroom renovation being one of those many markets. I'm going to go through a few others later on in the video. So, let alone, you're going to have the highest quality leads there because of what I mentioned earlier. Half or more of your business would just simply come from getting rid of all the other time slots, keeping 20% of the time slot, which is early in the morning, and make most of the money that you were making before, but now spending 5 times less money as before. I've got everything mapped out here, by the way, Monday through Friday and Saturday, Sunday. But what I've got here for the rest of this is to let you know, out of the seriousness of the leads that you get, if you want to know where the most serious leads come from in terms of time frame, I went through that already. Now I'm going to let you know the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth most serious. Okay? So outside of Monday through Friday, 9 to 12, your second most serious leads are going to come from 9 to 12 on Saturday to Sunday. Okay? Why? For the same reasons I said before. And they're just hoping you're open on Saturday or Sunday. Which, by the way, if that's you, you'll absolutely double your click-through rate by having an ad that says, we're open on Saturday. We've tested this. This is our favorite strategy to use for home services if you operate on the weekends and take calls on the weekend. The third most serious leads that you're going to get are 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. Assuming, here's the big if though. If you answer the phone 24 hours a day, this is going to be your most serious leads. Why? Because you don't call a home services company at 3 a.m. because you're messing around very often. But if you don't answer the phone, then ultimately they're going to call somebody else, and it may not be worth it at all. Or, they call and you have to follow them up at 9 a.m. and by then they may have forgotten about it, changed their mind, bunch of different things. So this may not apply for all home service markets because there's no reason somebody legitimately would call at 3 a.m. But I can tell you though, even if they did call at 3 a.m., and this is even just like a kitchen remodeling company, if you answer the phone, that's going to be a serious lead. The problem though is there's almost nobody calling at 3 a.m. But the one call every 90 days that you get, super good quality, assuming you can answer the phone. So I know that probably defies all logic in your mind, but we've seen it. I went through the data. The fourth most serious leads you would get would be 9 to 9 Saturday and Sunday. Then from there, as I found in the data, you're going to have the fifth most serious leads are going to come from 12 to 5 Monday through Friday. So noon to 5 p.m. Now the sixth most profitable or most serious leads are going to come from noon to 5 p.m. Saturday through Sunday itself. Why? Because people that are calling Monday through Friday, they know in their mind for sure they're going to be able to do business with somebody on a Monday versus a Saturday. So you got an iffy lead there. That's at least that's how I'm antiquate or in my mind justifying why this is the case. So basically, noon to 5 is better or is not as good as overnight, but you're just not going to get any calls overnight, so to say, assuming you can answer the phone, and you probably can't answer the phone. So potentially you wouldn't do that and you would just do this 12 to 5. Your seventh and eighth most serious leads, or the worst leads in terms of serious that you'll get, is 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Why? Because anybody calling at those times, generally speaking, it's like a random thing that they stumbled upon. Oh, the air conditioner's broke. What's call right now? They didn't have time to really mentally commit to it, so to say. Whereas they saw it overnight and then they decided to call the next day. The best would be the person that was waiting by the phone to call at 9 a.m. But if they couldn't call till 1 p.m. because they needed to call at lunchtime, it'd still be a great serious lead, but just not as serious as the guy waiting to call at 9 a.m. Hopefully that all kind of makes sense. So when it comes to the data and the numbers, that's where the most serious leads are going to come from a home services type business overall. And obviously there'll be some differences market to market talking about this. Like for instance, if you're in the water damage restoration space, your overnights are going to be the best, not the 9 a.m. one. Whereas if you're in HVAC, where you do air conditioning repair, your 9 to 12 is going to be good. And then second is going to be overnight and so forth. So I'll try to go through some more examples and tell you how the data swings one way or another here, but that gives you the general overall home service markets as a whole. Now, the reality is you and many others can't answer the phone 24 hours a day. With AI being as good as it is, you can get AI to answer the phone and book appointments for you. And it's better than, or almost as good as having a human answer the phone. Because it's so consistent and you can split test how the phone is answered and it sounds like a real human. If you want to know the software that I use for this and a couple numbers you can call and see how good this is, leave me a comment below. I'll point you to both of those things. But the software is good enough to not only sound like a human, but you can actually have it linked to Calendly and book an appointment for you totally. And at the very least, you should be using this so that if you can't answer the phone after 3 rings at your office, after hours it goes to the AI. It's going to do better than a voicemail is going to do for you all day long. You can't answer the phone though all the time. In a lot of markets, AI ain't going to cut it. For foundation repair services, it's a lot less effective to do AI, answering the phone with AI than it is with a cleaning service because you'll have less questions to ask overall. You're not going to have to need to talk to somebody before being willing to commit to an actual appointment to have somebody come up to their house, take time off of work to show up there and so forth. They want to know they're not going to have taken that time off for no reason. So with that said, the different time slots that I broken out here, which are the main differentiation points where one will convert significantly different than the other. You may be making good money 9 to 12 because these are when the most serious leads come in. And if all we had was to assume that the leads are going to cost the same to produce each one of these times, we would want to do 9 to 12 only because it provides the most serious leads that convert at the highest rate. But the reality is other businesses will often not run their ads not during business hours, overnight, whatever. And that makes the click costs overnight a lot less than what they're going to cost running your ads 9 to 12. Okay. So it kind of balances things out. I mean, your 9 to 12 will be the best in most home service markets in terms of profitability still, but it won't be as bad as what you think it is in terms of how much more the 9 to 12 will convert and your cost per opportunity, cost per appointment versus, during the weekend. itself. And the phone calls you get there, the cost per opportunity there, cost per appointment there. Because of the difference in cost per click during different times of the week. With that said, your job, if you want to make the most money with your ads, is to identify what is the cost per click that you can afford to pay for each one of these time slots to get the cost per appointment that you need to be profitable at your company. And you may only be able to pay, assuming you can't answer the phones overnight, 30 cents a click here, whereas here you could pay $1 a click because you're answering the phones here. And the only way you can do this effectively, by the way, is if you do something called offline conversion tracking, and you track not how much a lead costs, that's idiotic, how much an opportunity costs, appointment, a booked appointment. Furthermore, ideally, a sale and how much revenue has been being produced and profits being produced, so that you can efficiently price what a click should be willing to pay for each one of these time slots separately. And if you want to really get the most out of your market, you have different campaigns for different time slots, so you can scale them differently with different budgets and all that. Or at the very least, you do maximize conversion value bidding strategy. You take your revenue and you plug it into your account and you tell Google, I want at least a 4-to-1 ratio of sales to ad spend. And you let the algorithm optimize a perfect cost per click for each time slot, given its historical conversion rate for each call that's coming in, so that you get a 4-to-1 return on each one of these time slots as a result of Google adjusting downwards the cost per click you were willing to pay for each time slot based upon how well it converts from phone call to opportunity or per appointment, given that the opportunities here are better and the phone calls here are better, and they convert into a opportunity at a higher rate than they are going to be here, during 5 to 9 p.m. at night. Hopefully that makes sense how I explained it. The reason why, again, in the morning works so good is because people are searching in the morning. They've been waiting overnight to, finally buy, and therefore they're mentally locked into it itself. On top of that, by the way, there's a lot of markets like tub to shower renovations. You're ripping out bathtubs and putting showers in. There's a lot of people searching for how much does a tub to shower conversion cost? How to do a tub to shower conversion. And that traffic's very profitable to go after it, particularly when you can tell them up front what that price is going to be. But it makes a huge difference in terms of how much you're making from that traffic. You market to somebody in the morning or at night, because they can jump on calling you. They weren't initially looking to call somebody, they're willing to call. Whereas if you would have marketed that to them at 8 p.m. at night, they know they can't call unless you obviously say we're open at 8 p.m. on your landing page, which that would be the smart thing to do. But, and they're not interested enough because it wasn't their idea to hire somebody right away. They were just doing the research at that stage. They're not motivated enough to just wait till 9 a.m. and call. So for traffic like that, you do much better marketing to them when they're unable to call. Not only that, early in the morning, a person has more energy overall, really start their day. And as the day goes on, it's harder and harder to get them to fill out a form and call. We also know this through the studies that I've personally done. So if you want to get somebody to fill out a big contact form or application, marketing early in the day, it's easier to get them to do that. Just as a little small side tip, whether you're talking about home services or other markets. Anyway, with that said, some other things to mention here. This same concept that I described about how the seriousness of the leads that you get, and therefore the call to appointment rate or call to sales rate that you get, why that's so different from each of these time slots I just described, and times of the day and days of the week in general that you're talking about. That same thing applies to the month of the year or the season of the year as well. There's a reason why during March, I'm sure you're going to be shaking your head. Yes, Corey. I bet you March and April and May are going to be your best, most profitable months in your home services company, right? Why is that? Well, for the most part, during spring cleaning season, that's when people are willing to do home renovation or home service projects of some sort. The real reason is, yes, that is true. But like what I mentioned before about the people, initially getting the idea early on and then thinking it over when they call, they're willing to go, seriously ready to pull the trigger right then. We advertise all year round for home service companies, even though a lot of people would think, in December, I'm not going to advertise on a roofing company because nobody's buying a roof in December when the snow's on the roof and markets up north. The reality is, though, the person searching for a roof in December isn't doing it just for fun. They're doing it because they're initially doing the research in December when they have time to do research. March hits, they've been thinking and planning it for 3 months. And when March hits, they call and people just think, well, that's the only time people buy roofs. No, they do the research beforehand. They think about it beforehand. Unless we're talking about a broken toilet here where they either just spontaneously do it or nothing, which most of you guys aren't in a market like that. They're going to plan it for a while. And so you market all year. And there's just certain times of the year, you're going to get harvest your leads that are that you've marketed to earlier on. And there's certain times where you won't. And what you're doing is you're building a pipeline, even though people that sell the businesses understand pipeline, how that works. This works the same way in the home services markets. You're building a pipeline of people that are thinking about it and then people that buy. And then they buy in March, but they were thinking about it months before. And it didn't mean that the people you were going after months before weren't worth it. It just took to March to capitalize on that return. And you got to think about what you're doing as a whole over the year to justify doing it in December, January, and February, and so forth. So that is similar to what I mentioned here. You don't just market in the morning itself to make money, because you can market to people at night and then they're going to call in the morning. So this appears like this is actually the only thing you should do. If you didn't market to them at night, you wouldn't get as many people calling in the morning. That said, if you're just starting out and you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, you just market in the morning. But over time, you want to market to them at night because that's going to build up the pipeline for the morning people that ultimately call. Even though some of them are not going to come and call, they're not going to call at the same rate the guys that you're marketing to in the morning are going to call. So you pay less for these leads at night, knowing some people will drop off by morning, but you're going to still get the night ones at a certain cost per click. They're worth at least a penny per click. So you can get more in the morning. So I wanted to kind of point that out as well. So even though I say the morning is good and people at night are bad, and we're marketing to people at all times, the question is what you're willing to pay depending on what time of the year it is, given that people will come back later to decide to buy. And that same thing applies at the yearly level. Marketing to people at certain months, you need to pay a different cost per click there to get an ROI in January. That's the same in March. And, for that matter, your March is always going to look great on paper, but your March wouldn't have been as good as if you didn't market in January at all. So with all that said, also understand that marketing at night itself, given that you could track whether they come back here, this is still worth something. When you're marketing to people in December with the monthly example and this yearly example, and they come back and buy in March, that's a little harder to track. It just looks like the December people weren't profitable, even though they were, but you were only able to track up to 90 days from the ad click with Google's system. So you may say, well, December didn't work, but really it did. It's just too far outside Google's system to be able to track person that on whether they came through and finished their purchase or not. So if you have an issue with lead quality in your business, the phone calls and form fills you're getting, they're not turning into opportunities at a high enough rate. One of the main ways that you fix that is just getting rid of everything outside of the 9 to 12 time slot and only running that. That'll get you a higher quality prospect. Though, like I said, in summary here though, you start there, and then how can we get these other time slots to work, and what is it worth paying for a click here? Because you would obviously take a click here at 2 a.m. if it were a penny, right? Well, if that's the case, what we're really talking about here is just what is it? Is it worth 2 cents? Is it worth 3 cents? And that is where your tracking data comes into play, and then mathematically calculating what it is that a click is worth. So you know exactly what you can pay there, as well as what you cannot pay, and still end up with the amount of money that you want to make per, in terms of ratio of sales dollars to ad spend at the end of the day, where you're profitable in your business and getting the most sales out of your market as possible for your business. So with all that said, I have a case study here I mentioned I was going to go over, and I'll talk about a couple other markets. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you absolutely should. I have all the best information on how to make money with ads on this channel. Why? Because it comes from somebody who's got 20 years of advertising experience, and I spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy for our clients at our firm on dozens of accounts to find out what works and what doesn't work. And I give it to you for free on this channel. You literally are getting multi-million-dollar advice and based upon millions of dollars of ad money and research spent on ads to find out what works and what doesn't work. You're getting it for free on this channel through me having this channel. I work 80 hours a week, sharing what I find what works through my 40-hour work day job, if you will, putting this YouTube channel together on the other 40 hours a week, which is very important. The reason why I bring this up is because most of the people on YouTube don't run ads anymore. They just run a YouTube channel because it's its own full-time job. I'm the only one crazy enough, as far as I know, that's willing to do both and work 80 hours a week to make it possible. So subscribe if you haven't already, because you're not going to get better information other than this, and you cannot complain that you're not a millionaire, multi-millionaire without having have seen this information, because it's all telling you exactly what to do in terms of running your ads on Facebook, Google, and so forth. I've got a great blog on my site that also will hook you up with the best information, where I document the strategies that we're using to guarantee our clients results at our firm, literally speaking, a guaranteed PPC, with screenshots, with everything you need to use them. So if you like the channel, you're going to like that blog as well. If you have any questions about anything I'm covering here, you can always leave me a comment below in the comment section. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. You also can reach me through my Discord group. I've opened a Discord. You can find the link in the video description there. You also can reach out to me, of course, through my site at guaranteedppc.com, of which you can give me a call. We can set up a coaching call. You can consulting call. I work with a bunch of different agency owners asking me what strategies are that work, because I'm in the top 1% of our field and have the budgets to figure out what works. Furthermore, though, I work with regular companies as well. I also manage ads. I mean, that's our bread and butter here. The reason why I can bring you this information is because I manage clients' ad accounts, and I spend their ad money, so to say, to get them sales results, and of which people come to us at our agency because we offer a guaranteed result. That is, if you do not get enough raise in profitability from your ads after working with us initially, we do not take a management fee, showing that we give a damn and we got our own skin in the game, and therefore would give a damn to get you your results. And for that matter, if the profit that we make you in addition to what you're already making, that's not more than the management fee, there is no management fee. So we're giving you an initial boost on the back of our own company. So there's no reason not to effectively do it if you're looking to get more results out of your ads and you don't know what to do. If you're interested in having myself personally give you an 8-quarter projection of what's possible with your ads at the current time or with the new campaign, and what we would guarantee is along with that, reach out to my agency. I'll be happy to give that to you. I also have great templates available. If you're in a market that we've already been in, I can sell you the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates, all of it that work for your niche market. You copy paste those into your ad account yourself, and you get the same results I did in your market in a different city or country that you're in. Of which, if we already did the work and you're absolutely insane to do all this work yourself and go through all the testing we did, we've already got the results. Now, we don't sell this for a box of popcorn here. It's a few grand that we charge for the template, just to let you know the prices on those. But it's obviously worth it, because a lot of times we spent $1 million plus worth of advertising spend, find the perfect way to do something in a market that already works. And I don't half-ass stuff. So you're not only going to get all that data behind the learnings behind the setup, but also for me going to the degree to figure out how to set up the better funnel for your market. Ultimately, at least you should find out what results we got in your market, so you know what you stand to gain from the template that we have for your market. And then, of course, if you want it, we can sell it to you ultimately. With that said, getting into the case study I was going to go over here. So in the bathroom remodeling space here, if you want to know just how much of a difference knowing how to run ads earlier in the morning and doing only that versus running ads the other times, how much this will affect your cost per qualified opportunity, that is cost per appointment itself, then you just simply view this information. So you can get calls for cheap other times of the day. What really matters at the end of the day is how much does an opportunity cost, right? Or ideally, obviously, we want sales revenue, but we can track qualified opportunities, and those track a lot closer to profit than calls by themselves, which is why you got to track everything down to a sale, because if you don't, guess what? You're going to optimize for the cheapest calls. You can't complain about how much you're making until you track all the way to a sale and let the ad system optimize for sales instead of just calls. But if you do nothing, you're in the bathroom remodeling space, for instance, and you just run your ads 9 to 12 in the morning and that's it, your cost per opportunity, depending on what locality you're in, but probably is going to be something like this, where in the market that we were in LA, we were getting a $74 cost per opportunity. All other times of the day, we were paying $399 an average cost per opportunity, showing there's a 4x plus difference in your cost per opportunity that you're going to get advertising all times of the day, and could just simply, if you weren't making money yet, but you were close, you could ratchet everything down to 9 to 12 only and start making money right away, just with that one simple change. So to say, for that matter, we've had, I can tell you for a fact, in the HVAC space, or we're doing air conditioning installation and services. We ran ads, and I can tell you for a fact, 2/3 of our leads came in 9 to 12 and overnight. And the only reason why it was overnight, because we had a specific campaign that we ran overnight that said we're open 24 hours a day, even at 2 a.m. and had a separate funnel for just that, which, by the way, that cleans up itself. The actual lowest cost per opportunity was overnight, because most companies and guys aren't willing to do it. And with that unique ad copy that talks about how we're open, and on the landing page, how we're open, you can beat everybody else in your market. The same thing can be done, by the way, on holidays. You can do this on the weekends, like I talked about earlier. But you can pretty much get rid of everything in the middle here and end up with, 70-80% of the business you would have otherwise, and cutting out 75% of the money that you're spending overall. It makes that much of a difference. In the restoration services space, mold removal, water damage removal, all that, specifically having to do with water damage restoration. So your basement floods, you got a broken pipe, stops flooding, running ads overnight there itself, just instead of 9 to 12 in the morning, going the opposite end with this, that had a cost per opportunity way less than any other time of the day. Why? Because people are advertising less then, in terms of our competitors. More so, they're super, super serious when they're calling at 2 a.m. to the point where our cost per opportunity the rest of these times here is closer to $800, okay, in a competitive market. Whereas here, overnight, 9 to 9, we're at $250, which is very profitable in that restoration services space. Anyway, and $800, it's still profitable, but not really, okay? Of which we spent some time to get that cost per opportunity down during the rest of the time, because I told the client, hey, you want to just run ads overnight for now? We can do that. They understood that it takes time to get cost per opportunity down. But, simply, we could have just, like I just mentioned, you could just run ads overnight, stick with that, and that's it. Which, of course, there's not a ton of leads during that time, but we still had 20 to 30% of the leads we had during the all day long, during the overnight, and we could have got 25% of the market at a cost per opportunity that was profitable right away. So anyway, with that said, tells you kind of like from the opposite end of the spectrum how things could go if you're an emergency type or based business. Otherwise, if you're not, normal spread that I talked about here with the morning being the best, Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday as well as a close runner up, where you can get the most serious leads at or from, so to say, and where the cost per opportunity is going to be the least, generally speaking, not in every market, but in a great majority of them. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.